What's going on, everybody? My name is Chris Shelton. This is Instinctive Adventures. If you're not familiar, I'm a traditional bow hunter, and I just got back from 11 days in the backcountry of Colorado hunting elk. I was backpacking, carrying camp on my back. I'm going to do just a couple quick gear reviews because I don't know, I had a good time, and some of the gear, I felt like it really worked well, and I just wanted to share with you guys. Kind of give you an idea what I was dealing with. I just did a review on the Motorola D5. If you haven't checked that out, I'm going to go ahead and put a link for that up here if you want to check it out. It's a satellite communication device. In this video, I'm going to talk about water, something that's really important. I don't know about you guys. I trained my butt off for this trip. I lifted weights. I did a lot of stairs. I did a lot of treadmill work, and I would say it paid off. I did pretty well. Colorado, the altitude still kicked my butt, but otherwise, the training paid off. Even still, I want to carry the least amount of weight as humanly possible. So that means you're not carrying in water. You're going to get it in the backcountry, and specifically in the early season, that's not a problem. There's usually a lot of water around. The first spot had water galore. There was alpine springs and stuff up in the high country. The second spot up in the high country was dry. So I did have to carry, I was only in the second spot for 4 nights. So I carried one of these bags the whole way up the mountain, and I thought that was going to be enough. Luckily, or unluckily, depending on how you look at it, it rained or precipitated in some way pretty much every day. And I elected to take a tarp instead of rain gear because it seems like every time I wear rain gear, even though I have really good quality rain gear, you just end up wet. And when you're hunting whitetails here on the East Coast, if you get wet during the day, you go home, you go back to camp, you dry out. Next day, you're good to go. In the backcountry, you get wet, you stay wet. So, being wet is not an ideal thing. I had high quality clothes. The couple times I did get wet, I dried out really quick, which was awesome. But my point is, the one time I knew water was getting a little low. I didn't want to hike down to find water. I kind of weathered under the tarp the one day, and a big pool of water gathered on the tarp. So I collected it. I know the water looks clear, especially rainwater. Looked clear, but it actually had some, I guess the storm had knocked down some pine needles and stuff, so it had some tannins in it, but I filtered it and it's totally fine. It came out pretty much clear. This filter that we're going to talk about does not filter out tannins, for the record, but it filters out everything else. It goes down to 0.1 microns. That pretty much gets rid of all the nasty stuff. Anything that's going to hurt you is going to be filtered out by this, and we're talking about the Sawyer Squeeze. This is actually the Sawyer Mini. This is the filter I used. Now, I know there's a boatload of reviews on the Sawyer, so I'm not really going to focus a whole lot on this. Everybody knows how this works. You can use it as a straw. Water comes in one way, comes out clean the other side. It's really that simple. It's a membrane filter. It's a hollow membrane filter. So it does really well. Now, every type of filter like this comes with a little bit of an aftertaste. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not bad, though. It tastes a little funny. I was putting in, Propel mixes and stuff, so it really didn't bother me, but I could still taste a little bit, just a little bit from this guy. But still, it's better than Giardia or, any other water illness that happens. And it happens a lot throughout the world because of dirty drinking water. So don't mess around. I think the biggest risk in the high country is more like parasites and stuff like that. So again, don't mess around. You might have a bad time on your trip. You might have a bad time when you get home because of bad water. So it takes like 10 minutes. So you see, this is different than the normal. I'm not going to take it off because it took a while to get it seated right. This little attachment here, what the heck is that? That's what I want to talk about. Between the Sawyer being pretty awesome, I got this little attachment from a company called Hydrapak. They do these bladders, right? This is the Seeker line. The Sawyer itself comes with little tiny bags that you can attach to the end of this. This threaded end is like water bottle size, so you could use a water bottle too and filter it out that way. I didn't want to deal with any of those things. I got one of these just on a whim. It's a 4-liter Seeker by Hydrapak. It's pretty cool. It's a flexible bag. It folds up really small, goes into a little pouch, has, screw-on plastic lids. They fit into a hydration bladder section of a pack really well because it is like a hydration bladder. It just doesn't have the hose and everything connected. Works the same way. It's got cool handles on the sides. I have a piece of paracord attached. I was hanging them and filtering out via gravity. But how do you connect the Sawyer to this little guy? Well, Hydrapak sells this quick disconnect cap. You twist it on and off, basically. Screws right onto the top here. I only have one of these because that way I knew that the bag with this cap was dirty. And then basically this little attachment on my Sawyer just snaps right in. And then bam, you are filtering 4 liters of water. And I would just roll it up as I went and squeeze it out. One time I did gravity feed it and it worked just fine. However, the aftertaste I was talking about was a little bit more intense when it was gravity fed. So when you squeeze it out, I would just squeeze it directly into the second bag, which was clean the whole time. And I just squeeze all the purified water into there, and then you are good to go. It just worked extremely well. But the Sawyer is really diverse. So again, just snaps on and off. I got another attachment that you could hook a hose up to. Basically, it's just a little female or male end that went into this female end, and then it could connect to a hose because I do have hydration bladders and stuff like that. If I wanted to do it that way. Now, if you were going to keep dirty water in here and have to have it filtered, then you would have to put this in line too. I don't know. It's just getting way too complicated. Basically, I would take dirty water, put it in here, filter it into the other bag, clean water, and then I had a Yeti bottle that I was carrying around and just filling it, putting a powdered drink mix in there to again make it taste good and keep me hydrated, because the powdered drink mixes I was using had electrolytes, which in the backcountry it's pretty important to stay hydrated, especially when you're not used to altitude. But yeah, that system, it worked so freaking well. I don't know. I wasn't too keen on bags for water. I felt like it was kind of asking for disaster, but they're guaranteed not to leak. They say that on everything. And they held up to that freaking guarantee. They didn't leak at all on me. Not even a little bit. So I was pretty impressed. On my pack, I have just a cheap Amazon Molly hydration bladder bag that goes on the flat part of my frame. And I could fit almost both of them in there. They're 4 liters, so they're not small by any means. That's like pretty much the largest size you can get for, any type of bladder. But again, I was carrying 2 of them. So at one point I had, the first camp, the water was close. So I went and filled one up, filtered it right there at the stream, and then filled it up again. So that way I had one that was still needed to be filtered, one that was already filtered. So I just didn't have to keep running back and forth. I didn't need them all. I ended up dumping a little bit before I hiked back down just to lighten the load. But again, I just felt like that system was so efficient. Now, on the next trip, I'm going to do a little bit of redundancy, and I'll tell you why. So again, a lot of the water up in the high country is so clean. It just looks super clean. I bet you it tastes amazing, but I don't have the best stomach and I'm not going to test fate basically. So that being said, the way I would go a little bit redundant is I would have this system, but I would also have a UV wand as well. Like one of the wands you stir in the water to purify it with a UV light. I would do that for my drinking water, I think, just because that seems to be pretty efficient. If you're not drinking stagnant water, you don't really need to worry about a lot of things. I was reading that some parasites can recover from UV light treatments, so that's something to consider too. It's kind of like there's a lot of science behind it, and you need to do a lot of research and figure out what works best for you. But this is universally safe. So especially if you're cooking with it, you filter it, you boil it, you're really safe. I wasn't boiling drinking water. I was just using this, and I was totally fine. And if it didn't work, my stomach would be the first one to be like, absolutely not. That's pretty much all I have. So again, I'm going to leave links to all of this stuff down in the description. They're going to be Amazon affiliate links if you want to help me out. Check it out. Yeah, I'd appreciate it. Again, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you liked what you saw, please leave a like and consider subscribing. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and leave those down in the comments below. And as always, go adventure.